Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ladies Fashion Showcase with Life and in Color today. How are you, Mel?
Oh my goodness, it has been quite the day today. Your girl had a good upper day, so she's feeling fancy with the guns out. How are you
Yeah.
doing, my friend?
I don't have them
Oh, look at
guns. I'm
you.
sorry. I wish I did. Look at it. Who's been patiently waiting? Yeah, right. Not patiently, but he's been waiting for.
Sorry to keep you waiting, my friend.
And Bobby, thank you, Bobby, for stopping by. Eddie, you're gonna have to explain to me what that means because I definitely don't know what that means. I have a sword swings over my head. I don't know. Oh, the only thing it makes me laugh, and I had to like share this tidbit. Being that I do shows with Ed, Cody, and Mel, I know we have different theme songs for every show, but it's funny being in the backstage and seeing the Mo dance to whatever theme song we have as this is
I can't
happening.
help but
I
bob my
get
head.
Cody going and then Mel going, and then Ed is like, "Hey, I'm rocking to taking over theme song." So I wish people could see that though, but it's funny.
I can't
Um,
wait for the day that you get to see my amazing co-host Andre C. He just he rocks out. He never falls out of his chair.
I
He's
don't
so
wait.
excited.
Oh, now I get it. It's just, I'm a mod on Twitch. Mods have sore icons. Oh, I forget. I can't see it that way on edit, so it's not the same for me. Oh my goodness. Bobby says I'm doing great. Yeah, we have missed you around here.
Mhm.
Corey, thank you for being with us on making an impact last night. He says going to miss the show unfortunately, but I'll watch later. But I'm sending nothing but this coming all the positive vibes. Thank you. Um, well, we have, I think, three and a half topics for today, if you want to call it. uh,
Yeah,
which one do you want to
one
start with? You let me know because you're the one that has. Well, you're organized most of them, so you tell me which one you want to start
I
with.
think we should leave the most complicated one, the one that I'm calling the branchiest of the branchiest for the last one there, because that one has angles upon angles upon angles of overthinking that we need to overthink as ladies here. Let's start with the amazing, the talented Mercedes Mone
Yeah.
retaining her title over Azumi and Hazuki, two prodigies coming out of Stardom Wrestling. Holy hot dang. The match was just exactly what I expected. It was high speed, high impact, high intensity. Those girls were just going, 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 going. It was like watching a pinball wizard who like knows what they're doing and the ball is
Yeah.
just going everywhere where it needs to go. That's what it's like watching a high speed match in Stardom. And holy hot dang, Mercedes gear for that. I'm not gonna lie, I loved the first gear, but I loved the second gear more. I felt that it was a unique look for her. It was a different look for her. I felt that the styling fit her a little different, but it fit in all the right places. She looked tremendous. And she fit in with the other two women that she was working with, but not so much that she got lost in the fray. Like they were all looking very different enough that you could tell whose hair was flipping
Yeah.
everywhere. Hazuki has just been one of those girls who has been utterly impressing me since I started watching. Also, one of Andre C's favorite ladies. She hits hard for being such a deceptively small woman. But Azumi, I mean, not to take away from her either, she's been wrestling since she was 11 years old with this company. Um, she gave Mercedes a run for her money, but I'd say they almost worked pretty well together when they did work together. Astrid, what do you think about Mercedes retaining the IWGP Women's Champion and now moving on to face Mayu Iwatani?
Yeah. Oh, hello, Perry Pro Wrestling. Oh, aka Bobby.
Oh,
uh,
I mean, Party Central over there tonight.
oh, that's true. Um, what I love more than anything is that even though we are used to like a certain style from Mercedes as Sasha Banks, I feel like we get to see more from her now. And one thing that I love more than anything is like we see her in a certain way, but we know she can do more. But there's certain, they have certain restrictions if you want to call it like that. So it's nice to see them like being open about the way they want to wrestle, even though obviously I want her to also be careful because of
Mhm.
injury and things like that with the speed that they have. But at the
Yes.
same time, it's nice to see like the restrictions, like she doesn't have them. So, and I feel like she could be more open with her style, and we can get a mix of that style that she has too, which I like from it's something different from what I've seen from her in the past too.
Mhm.
I definitely want to watch the match because I didn't get to watch it beforehand. I've been working a lot this week, so I haven't had a chance to
Yeah.
barely watch anything. Uh, but it still just it makes me excited because I feel like now that we have her here, we see more from the company like being covered in social,
Mhm.
and I love seeing that because even though I don't watch it, I know you do, and I know there's other people that might have seen this and just say I like Mercedes, so I'm gonna keep watching it not only because of
Mhm.
Mercedes, but I'm gonna end up watching it because I'm enjoying these girls too. So it's
Mhm.
nice to see like they get more wrestling media coverage because of her presence alone in here. So I think like
Mhm.
that's one big change that I've seen in the company so far, and is I think it's also like nice like we talked in the past, like seeing her every time she does any kind of event, she has a championship with her, and I was like I think it's a nice touch to have. Like she was at MegaCon here not so long ago, and she was in the panel with her dog and the championship next to her. It's like one of those things like you're gonna see on social media with all the pictures. So it's nice to see her like highlighting the company in such
Mhm.
small little ways, but still highlighting them as with everything she does. Like we have
Mhm.
mentioned too, she was in the Mandalorian premiere. She had the championship with Rosario Dawson. We saw those pictures online. People are
Yes.
gonna want to research it, and it helps the company in the long run. Um,
Mhm.
and I know they have the event. I think is it today or tomorrow, and it's over the weekend if I'm not mistaken, right? I
I
think.
believe it's over the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, like they
No.
announced also with Impact, they have Multiverse United in August again, which I didn't think we are gonna get another one this year. So it just makes me think of like, what else are we gonna get from Multiverse United? Do we get a
Mhm.
Mercedes match in that card finally? I think that would
Mhm.
be super interesting to see.
Mhm.
I'm still hoping, and I'm still holding up hope for that Mercedes Mickey James match from Multiverse. I mean, you never know, but I'm like, if you had anybody, like I know you don't watch Impact like that, but if you had anybody, like who else would you like to see like go against Mercedes at Multiverse, if anything, if they do put them on the card?
You know, someone who I think would add a completely different dynamic to what it is that the Stardom style kind of is, which is a quite high speed, again high impact, but not really a big striker or brawler or even really much of a power kind of thing, unless you're specifically talking about certain teams like God's Eye or Seven Up. I would love to see Jordan Grace over
Mhm.
there. It's her style. She's very strong, obviously a power lifter.
Mhm.
She would do very well. Jodie Threat, yes, would also do exceptionally
Mhm.
well over there. Her
Steph.
personality would absolutely Jodie Threat's personality, I think, would actually fit very well over there and be kind of almost like a translation free kind of expression there. She's very good at translating what she's feeling without having to say much than screaming. But yeah, and even Diana Parasso, seeing a
Yeah.
champion versus champion, Diana versus Julia. Julia also she's gotten on a savage streak since getting that red belt. You know, she has no problems putting the new girls through the runners, but her feud with Tam Nakano recently has resulted in unnecessary haircuts, a lot of bleeding from a lot of places that are not normal. She hit her headbutt her so hard during an interview the other day that she actually had like a goose egg that was just bleeding perpetually. Like,
Mm.
she's stepped up since winning that red belt from Suri. But that also being said, I would love to see Suri take on Mercedes Monet, given that she is giving us a lot of personality right now. I feel that both of those women could actually pull the absolute best out of each other.
Yeah, I'm still like I said, I'm still holding out hope that they'll do at least that kind of women's
Mhm.
match in there. I don't see it happening for Forbidden Door, but you never know. So far for like the trailer they released has been all the guys. I haven't seen any women's matches, but
Mm,
you never know, something gets added last minute. I know that's just like a promotional trailer, like nothing has been announced officially, but you never
yeah,
know from here till then what happens. Um,
that's true. Is it really a wrestling promotion if they don't have like a few matches on the cards that they don't know what's going on till the day of?
and to Ed's comment, do we think Mercedes is staying past this next match with NJPW? What do you think,
Yes.
Mel, since you're the expert?
Oh, 100%. 100%. She's already extended the time that she's going to stay over there. She said that she's going to start learning Japanese. She's going to move over there. 100%. She's staying. I personally thought if she did not retain against Azumi and Hazuki, that was kind of like a surefire thing to me that she wasn't going to be sticking around. After her retention, I've kind of had a little bit more of a growth in my opinion of it. And that, at first I was kind of hesitant. I was like, is she just going to come win the title and then be like, okay, bye? This tells me that she's going to be sticking around, that she's going to, again, as you had mentioned, add some more, I don't want to say relevancy, but add some popularity to
Yeah.
the Stardom women's division there, and hopefully start getting, some of these ladies over into the North American avenue. I would personally like with NJPW working quite closely with AEW, with Impact, with ROH. We could also even start throwing some of those ladies from AEW in there. Shida, being from Japan already, would probably have an amazing match with another Japanese wrestler, and probably she would have already wrestled them in Japan. So yeah, I think Mercedes is going to be sticking around. I think she's going to. I don't necessarily think that she's going to necessarily be Stardom's flagship, but I think she's going to be NJPW's flagship for Stardom, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I feel like I showed you that like her post of saying, "Oh, I'm learning Japanese. I hope to move here." The only thing that I wish she would have done is like she still in some certain areas she has said like once or twice like I'm a free agent, like I can show up whenever. I would like to see more of that though. It's like not anything against like NJPW or Stardom, but I would like for like let's say for one moment, let's say what Impact has a live show, having her show up in an Impact live show and go against somebody and do some stories here and there. So it's like I want that free agent like status that she has to like be highlighted more often. Have her show up in different companies and do a storyline for like a month and a half maybe, and then even if she's gone after that, but at least seeing her like be involved in other companies is what I like to see. Just to like see her involving with girls that she wasn't involving with before because she was in WWE. So that's why it's something I
Mhm.
would like to see more of that mixture there that we didn't get before from her. That's something like I'm looking forward to because like you said, I would like to have her like, go against Jordan, Diana. I want to see things like that. Have her show up in AEW. Like they definitely had the door open for her to show up at AEW and she didn't. So
Mhm.
I obviously wonder what happened there. We're probably not never gonna know. But still, it's just like it's one of those things like AEW had, as they said, it was like we have the forbidden door. But I feel like that forbidden door has been slightly open for the women. I don't want to say closed all the way, but slightly open. And I want that to expand a little bit more when it comes to the
Mhm.
women. And like you said, it's like they have so many like associations. Like I would like for somebody from AW to show up in Impact and vice versa, and have that partnership extend in that aspect with the women. Because to me, like the biggest thing that's happened is just I feel like one of the biggest things that's happened like not too long with like companies crossing over would be Mickey James showing up in the Rumble, and I was like, that shouldn't be
Mhm.
the only thing that we get. That's huge, you know.
Yeah.
But that's definitely it. Perry Pro Wrestling. Mel, look at what time it is in a couple minutes.
It's almost 4:20. Almost
Okay.
4:20. Here. Here anyway.
As Bobby's saying, how about Mercedes show up at the Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling wrestle against, is it Mayu? I keep trying to get
Miyu.
me,
That one
me,
would
okay.
be Miyu, yeah.
Yeah. I like what she did though, like over, like, I don't want to say over WrestleMania weekend, but around like the WrestleMania season, having her show up in
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
companies. Every time I looked up in Twitter, she was at a different company and a different like promo and graphic. I was like, this
Yeah.
girl's going everywhere. I love that though.
Taking that opportunity as soon as they have it and running with it. And holy hot diggity, did she do amazing? Like we saw her perform in that multiverse crossover, and I was telling you in advance that her kicks look nasty, 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 nasty.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say 620 for me, but I was like, I'm used to not doing the math for you guys. I feel like I can do math
Especially
for
for
two.
me.
Now I did it for you this time. I said 3:30 your time,
You
so you
did.
would
You set
know.
that up real good. No mistakes on this one.
I learned. um, no, I figured we will move on now. Which one
Yeah.
do you want to talk about first now? Well, now the other two that we have going.
Let's tackle that short one that I think is going to be very, very quick and easy to kind of talk about. And that's we'll say, the burying of the hatchet
Yeah.
between, is it La Rosa Negra
Yes, you
and
got it.
Yeah, and Tessa Blanchard.
Hmm.
Um, Tessa Blanchard has been catching a lot of heat, and rightfully so. She said some really nasty things that absolutely she needed to learn from. What I'd like to see is that growth. That hey, I made a mistake and I've learned from it mentality coming from her. That takes a lot of guts to do, to admit and take that pride and swallow it and say, I did a bad thing and my opinions were not very well taken and they're not very good either. It's very obvious based on the pictures we've seen that she has learned a lot from her mistakes and that she has had that growth, and I'm happy to see it. I just really, really hope that the wrestling community and wrestling environment is able to be as forgiving and not forgetful, because we have to remember these mistakes. But I really do hope that she is given the opportunity to be able to move forward, showing that she has learned from these mistakes and has made the proper steps that she needs to do for fixing what she messed up, essentially. Astrid, what do you think about this?
Yeah, that's something that definitely surprised me over like WrestleMania like weekend, having the picture and then posting it like on not only Twitter but Instagram too. Um, as Ed is saying, wrestling fans forgiven? Not sure. Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah, we can be a little
yeah,
spiteful bunch, can't we?
yeah. I think it's one of those things like the actions are definitely gonna speak louder than the words, and I feel like obviously one picture can just say a lot of things, but it
Mhm.
just moving forward, what she does that definitely continues on like what the picture was saying, because if obviously just to give an example, she does have that picture with La Rosa Negra, and then she keeps going to her old behavior, then the picture meant nothing. It was
Exactly.
gone in the dust, but
Mhm.
if you are the kind of person that you see the picture and you see her like doing other things and mending the other relationships, because like during the time this came out, it wasn't just La Rosa Negra. She never said it was her, but other people did come out and other people said like
Mhm.
she bullied me. So it wasn't just La Rosa Negra. So I would like to see more action of like the people that called her out to say, look, she contacted me, we had a conversation,
Mhm.
our the bridges are burned, we're not friends but we're good now, let's put it like that. So like we're in good
Yeah.
terms now, which is what I would love to see. I know like with everything happening, Tessa went from being all over wrestling to being nowhere and nowhere to be seen at this point because of her actions. um and not only that, but I feel like it was also one of those things that I don't, it kind of like the, I don't want to say scandal, but like the topic in itself took a backseat to, or like it had the world championship match that she had and her win. It took a backseat to what, to what the discussion that was happening. So I feel like it just stains such a moment in history for Impact, and that's kind of like sad in that aspect of it too, because it just has such a big moment for women's wrestling, and I feel like the topic in itself took over that win. And I
Mhm.
even sometimes forget that she won that world championship because I'm thinking of what happened at the same time of
Mhm.
everybody speaking out. So it's one of those things, like I said, that she went from being like everywhere and getting highlighted in this aspect to like being nowhere to be seen, and like mostly like training other people, because that's what she's been doing lately, and
Mhm.
not really seen on TV, because she's not even part of WoW anymore. Um, but yeah, I would like to see like her kind of road to going towards like I'm gonna mend all these friendships and all these people that I wronged little by little, and then to see what happens afterwards if she does get back into the wrestling community as a whole, because I feel like having her that win that she did, winning the world championship, you gotta capitalize on that. And it's like that's a great moment in women's wrestling. So I can imagine her returning back to Impact and now like going against all these girls that we have in Impact now. It's one of those
Mhm.
things like we never know if it's gonna happen unless she goes on and does a little, I don't want to say like road to like forgiveness, I guess, if you want to call it, or
Road to
something like that.
redemption.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things like I'm curious how she will get involved in wrestling moving forward, if she
Mhm.
does go towards like mending all these like friendships and mending all these bridges that she burned recently.
Mhm.
So that's the thing that I'm like wondering how it will go moving forward after that picture was posted. But I'm glad that they had hopefully that conversation, be like, hey, this was wrong, you should know not to say that to people, not only
Mhm.
to her but like to anybody in general, and for that to be more than anything a learning lesson of how to treat people in in the future, because you got to treat each other with respect. We're all from different backgrounds. um So we gotta respect each other. We're not gonna all think the same way. We got raised in different ways. But I think once you realize that, hey, I made a mistake, this is the kind of thing that you shouldn't really be calling people. I feel like it's a lesson learned for her and for others too. If they didn't know about it and they learned it because of that. So hopefully that it ends there.
Mm-hmm. It's like everyone who clearly hasn't seen Bambi. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
exactly how it
agree
should
with
be.
you though. I feel that it is something that it's not going to be just, it's not solved with one photo. You know, there's a certain degree of other things that need to happen. But arguably, I think the hardest part for her on a personal level has happened for sure. And it can only move forward and progress positively, being that she chooses to move forward positively with it 100%.
Yeah. And I'll figure we'll move on to, like, I guess the biggest topic that we have for
Yes,
today.
the
We did
British
want to
one.
discuss. Well, we have two little topics within the big topic at hand here. We did want to discuss the storyline with Trish, Lita, and Becky Lynch going on Raw right now.
Uh-huh.
You brought up something to me like privately that I thought was an interesting point because I never thought about it that way. So now that I think about it, is like it opened my eyes to like a broader topic. And one of the things that came out of like the storyline going on right now is that Trish wrestled what she was injured at WrestleMania. I think it was a
Mhm.
torn hamstring, if I'm not mistaken. Is it?
Yes, that's what I
Yeah.
saw. Yeah, torn hamstring. Yeah, or
Yeah.
partially torn hamstring.
Yeah.
Um, ah, as someone who's an athlete, and many of the people who are probably in the chat are also athletes, we know that you need to take care of yourself if you want to do this sport. Not even just wrestling, you will need to take care of yourself if you just want to exist, because you know walking some days can be hard. Um, that being said, you know, on one hand, it's super impressive. You know, she was injured, the amount of pain. Like, I have a partially torn ACL on my right leg. I have knee issues. I have patellar subluxation in both of my knees. Like, I know the constant pain of sports injuries. You know, on one hand, it is really cool that she was able to get out there to muscle through the pain, to take, like, do what she needed to do to take the match. And that's awesome. Like, I was just a month ago, I think it was about a month ago, month and a half ago, praising Kyrie for wrestling on a sprained ankle. And now, as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you know, when I was diagnosed with patellar subluxation, I actually had to alter how I worked because it was causing me physical pain to earn a living. So for me, I look at the situation and go, it's concerning that she was wrestling with such an injury that could end up, you know, having a negative and consistently negative impact on her life and livelihood and well-being going forward after said match. You know, wrestling is a dangerous, it's a full contact sport. It's as dangerous as football. It's as dangerous as MMA. It's as dangerous as hockey. You're going to get that impact. But I feel in professional wrestling, the your opponent is as invested as you are in you coming out not hurt. When someone has to work that much harder to ensure that your already hurt ass doesn't get any more hurt, that's unnecessary stress on your opponent. That's unnecessary stress on you because now you have to think about that. But then after the match, how much did you re aggravate the injury? And it made me think even further as we spiral down the rabbit hole. You know, I wouldn't expect you, Astrid, if you had a torn hamstring, to do the job that you have in a warehouse with a
Mhm.
torn hamstring. I would expect you to go to physio. I would expect you to bed rest, ice, stretch, you know, take the time off that you need to ensure that you are better. And I feel sometimes now looking at these injuries that people go in with a torn hamstring for Trish, a sprained ankle for Kyrie. Let's not even start talking about Cody Rhodes and that
Mhm.
impacted titty that he had, whatever, like he tore his pectoral off, still
Yeah.
wrestled the match. I'm, I don't really feel it should be as sensationalized as it is, because if you wouldn't do it, don't expect them to. If you wouldn't do it for your livelihood, don't expect them to do it for your entertainment. And that, yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting with that, because it's especially with a torn hamstring like that, depending on how torn it is, she might need surgery. And like, what happens? Just what happens if she's going through this whole thing, and now there's like a crazy storyline that they have now set up for how many months? What would have happened if she completely tore that hamstring? That would have completely derailed that entire story, and they essentially would have done so knowingly. You know, it puts me in a rough spot as a fan, let me tell you, because like, as I said, on one hand, I want to celebrate them for being a tough mamma jamma, but on the other side, it's like, what message as a PG show are you showing young adults and children about that, knowing that you're going in there? I mean, the children probably not finding out about the backstage information so much as us adults, but it puts me in a rough spot for an opinion, because I want to, as I said, celebrate her. She's a woman that I've always loved and respected. But on the other hand, I'm like, you dumb lady, you know that that was a dumb decision. You probably shouldn't have done that. It doesn't tell anybody anything good. Astrid, what do you think about that?
Yeah, you made me think of like the way I felt with Cody, because at first you're like when he reveals it, you're like, oh, I kind of, you kind of feel the pain as you're seeing it, and you're watching the match like this because you're entertained, but you're also concerned about him. So it's one of those things, like you said, I'm like, it's, you're torn about it because you're seeing it, and you're like, don't get me wrong, the match was great, but at the same time, I was concerned for his well-being the whole time too. So it's like I was like, I know he's doing this, and Rollins is doing that to him, and I know like they're being safe about it most of the time, but still, it's like you're thinking about the pain that he's probably going through as he's doing this. And I didn't know about this about her particularly until like now it came out after WrestleMania, and like you said, I'm thinking like now she has a storyline going forward with Lita and Becky. So how different would the storyline have been if she had been hurt? She probably would have had, the attack wouldn't happen, or what, that would have changed to what they had planned as well. So I think that that part of it would have been different to see if it did happen. And it just like I'm thinking, she does her yoga stuff. How does that affect her, her livelihood? And not only that, but she has kids. How does it affect her like day to day with her kids too? So it's some of those things that I didn't think about until like you mentioned. I was like, shoot, this opens like a new can of worms for me, just like seeing it from this aspect. Because I'm thinking,
Branches.
ah, this is it. I'm like, I applaud you because you're hurt and you're like
Mhm.
wrestling and still entertaining us. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to go through with it because we already had it planned, rather than, taking off the match or like changing the match last minute. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it's your livelihood at risk. And it's like, how does that affect you in the long run too?
Mhm.
Um, not only as a wrestler, but just like physically as a whole. Um, as we have Perry Pro Wrestling, nobody should work her. I regret doing my shoot job. My ankles and hips are messed up as a result of
Yeah.
shoot job. Really?
Relatable, relatable.
Yeah, and it's like,
Defoe is in the house.
for me it sounds funny too, because I guess I haven't really said this like online, but I used to work at a Hello Kitty store at the airport, and I was the Hello Kitty in the front. And it's one of those things like standing up so much with a costume on and being how warm it was on top of it, and like having kids like come in and try to do everything they could to be with my coworkers being busy, standing up for such a long period of time definitely hurt a lot of like my knees and like my
Mhm.
ankles. And when I went to the back, I'm like, let me sit down and just take that breather. So it's
Mhm.
like, and knowing something as silly as that, I can't imagine how it takes a toll on you physically, just like doing things that most people don't do, because it's something like
Mhm.
a lot of people don't get to do often, or they do it safely, and we didn't have that experience of doing it safely either. um so it's one of those things like you think about like how that affects you later on,
Mhm.
as an adult, if you think about it that way.
100%.
But yeah, it's like I do applaud them for being hurt, but at the same time, I was like, you being hurt, you could have hurt others too. That's another thing to where they, what if for some reason she had something during the match that happened, and she injured one of the girls too in the match.
Mhm.
That would have derailed their career as well after like, how they
100%. Yeah.
skyrocketed they are right now. So it brings a lot of like questions and comments if you like brighten up the topic when it comes to that. So I thought that was super
Mhm.
interesting when you brought it up to us. Well, you brought it
Mhm.
up to me as we were like talking about it privately, and I sent it over to you. Um, but yeah, something that I it didn't cross my mind before, and it just brings a lot of more like bullet points to it now that I thought
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you start to think, how many people do you know are wrestling with some kind of injury? Tanahashi years ago was wrestling with a torn bicep. He just put a sleeve on it and said, "I'm good to go." You can see Tanahashi now; he ain't good to go. Like he's sort of still good. He goes, and he's not
Good.
necessarily good to go because his knees are hella hooped and his arm is hella hooped and everything is just kind of like AC chaos. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're 100% right. It opens up a lot of can of worms to start thinking about other people and other things, and it's like, why why is that still happening? Like, if the doctors know that she's injured, and that's a fairly substantial injury, and the doctors are obviously doctors, they know better than me.
Mhm.
Why is the decision being made by them, or is it being made by somebody higher up? Is it being made by Trish? Who made that decision in that situation? Because, like, I don't know, like, as Prairie Pro Wrestling was saying, pulled hamstrings are rough.
Yeah.
If you know that it's hurt, it feels like someone hit you in the back of the leg with a baseball bat. Why would you make the decision to walk on that and potentially exasperate it further? I mean, I know someone personally who did the exact same stupid thing, and they're still stupid. So, it is what it is. People are going to do what they do because they think they're superhuman. But, once you get over 30, you really start to realize how not superhuman you are. Your knees hurt once in a while, you guys.
Only once in a while.
It's a perpetual thing for sure. But that
Oh,
being
dear.
said, we should segue into the rest of what we said about Trish
Mhm.
and Lita and Becky here, because this actually was a feud I wasn't aware of until you started sending me like clips of it and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And like, I'm just gonna flat out say, from what I saw, I didn't watch their match at WrestleMania. I came on too late to see their match, so I didn't see how the WrestleMania match went. My introduction to this feud was Trish getting rolled up by Liv, which, a shout out Liv Morgan. What did we say? What did you say beforehand? She got a pin over Ronda Rousey, a pin over Trish Stratus, and there's a third person who we will eventually remember when we
Yeah.
get off air, because that's usually how it works with us. Um, but yeah, catching a roll up on Trish, and then Trish turning on Becky in what, like, I've got to say again, this was my introduction
Mhm.
to this feud. She had got to have given her the weakest forearm hit. And bless her heart, Becky oversold that thing like a mamma jamma, like an absolute champ. That's why she's with that company.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and then Trish did this, like, I guess what we could call a beatdown. It wasn't. It was. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna lie. Again, this being my introduction to the feud, it was very
Mhm.
underwhelming. For Trish Stratus, being a legend in this business, she knows that stuff. I mean, the promo she cut on, was it Monday,
Mhm.
was phenomenal. Did I necessarily
Mhm.
believe everything she said? No. um, but yeah,
Yeah.
the only one of the main reasons that I'm kind of hesitant about this feud in general is that, again, with Trish having an injury, and then arguably, like I've said it before in our Lady Wrestling Showcase, sometimes I don't feel like the generations should necessarily mix with the other generations in a
Mhm.
active, um, kind of respect,
Nostalgia.
if that makes sense. Yeah, like,
Mhm.
Trish was a legend and Lita was a legend in their generation. They were the peak. They were the top shelf, the cream of the crop, at that top
Yeah.
in their generation. Since that, there's arguably been a few generations of women in between them
Mhm.
that have changed how women's professional wrestling is. It's gone from just being a chick kick and big tits and platform shoes and cowboy hats to being legit fights. Like,
Mhm.
these girls are doing and performing the same kind of moves that the guys are doing. So for me, seeing a combination of Becky and Trish, it makes me mad. And not angry mad. It just makes me like,
Yeah.
why? It's like putting Tanahashi in with Leo Rush right now. It makes no sense. Gato, fix it. It it and to me, seeing that initial clip made me go, "Oh, this is going to be awful." That being said, though, her promo that she did on
Oh
Monday.
no, you said it.
What did I say?
With that being said.
No shit. I got my daiquiri. um, so yeah, on Monday she cut a very great promo, and this was the kind of promo that I feel honestly has been missing from women in particular. But I also, again, don't watch WWE at all. So I don't know if there's other promos being done within the WWE. So don't at me because I don't know. But like from what I see of clips on AEW, from what I've seen on even Stardom, which is my favorite, the promo that Trish cut showed exactly why she is the legend that she is. Again, did I necessarily believe everything that she said? No. Um, did that kind of fix everything from the initial setup from the feud? Again, no, but it made it a little bit better. It made it more palatable. And with, I believe, Becky not actually being at Monday Night Raw, it made it more interesting. And to be honest, I liked heel Trish a hell of a lot better than I like face Trish
Yeah.
because it really does present the mentality that all of us as Canadians are nice. We're not. Some of
Yes.
us are bitches.
I'm
But
glad
yeah,
you said it,
Astrid,
not
what do you
me.
think about this feud?
Okay, going back going back to the beginning to what you said.
Uh-huh.
Um First, like the WrestleMania match in itself, there were parts of like I felt like Becky was and I think I mentioned it when we were here with Lauren before too. Um there were parts of like I could see Becky telling Lita what to do. Like they were both with the championships and Becky's like, come on, like this way. And they both come and raise the titles together and do the signaling to the audience. And then she's like, let's go this way now. And then, like they will go together. And it's like seeing it, like noticing those little things makes me realize that they're not thinking about the stuff beforehand when they should be.
Yeah.
And even when they won the match, she's like, go in the corner, and the other one, go in the other corner. Um, so it's like you could tell they didn't plan this out ahead of time. That was the first thing that came to mind. And there was moments that I don't want to say frustrated because I just wanted all the women to like have great matches and like show the guys as like this is why we're here. And then this match didn't do it for me. I wish it would have been differently in that aspect. When Lita was in the ring, I feel like the girls were like carrying her in the ring. Trish wasn't really as bad, but I feel like Lita's end of it, I was like, shoot, just get her out of there, just please, because I can't stand it. And I hate saying that because obviously Lita's a legend, but it's one of those times that I wish it would have done better her aspect. I know even like her when they won the championships, like the match wasn't like her part wasn't exactly the best thing ever either.
Mhm.
Um, I knew going into this like little by little with the build up that Trish was gonna turn eventually. I just was gonna give it a little bit more time before it happened. So I was not thinking it was gonna happen when it did. Like you said, going back to the attack in it itself is just like it wasn't great. Like I know Becky sold it great. Becky's aspect, 100% loved it. But from Trish's, it's like the way that she hit her. I feel like it was very awkward the way Becky landed on the ropes too. I know she sold the chick kick like they should have. Like that was like well done out of Becky's part too.
Mhm.
But the way that Trish was like beating her down was not what I hoped it was going to be. And then going
I
to the
feel
next part,
like
like,
a mouse, sitting on the back of a cat, just going would have
oh
done
my
more
god,
damage.
it just it just frustrates me because I feel like she could have done better. Like it's Trish Stratus, like come on.
Why?
Um, but it just and then the promo, I did love the promo. Like you said, we were kind of missing somebody with that kind of like attitude in the ring and during their promos. We didn't have anything like that, and from what I seen with the other girls, so I felt like there's something that was basically somebody going like I'm here and I'm here because of you guys are here because of me. If it wasn't for me, you guys wouldn't be where you are right now. Um And then Bobby said, "Ladies, I must run out to finish my work for the day and then go see Evil Dead Rise with Mrs. Money
Ooh,
said, wish you both double the best." Oh, I want to watch that one. Hopefully, but
that
thank you
one
for
looks like a
stopping
good
by.
one.
uh, but it just, I love the promo in itself. I know there was some wording. I forgot what she said exactly. I wish I would have written it down. Of like she made it seem as if she lost the titles on purpose,
Hmm.
so that Becky wouldn't be champion. And then going back afterwards, she would say, "Oh, like it's because you picked Lita as your partner and not me." Being that like I'm the goat, basically. You should have picked me and not her. And then she said like I'm the one that attacked Lita. So I wonder. Obviously, we get that aspect like Becky wasn't on Raw, so we only got that promo from Trish. I like the delivery of it was great. I love how powerful it felt, like her being in the ring saying it. um I want to know what we like for Lita going forward, how Lita responds to it, and then now how Becky responds to it going forward as well, because I think Becky, it's injured, she has a little bit of a lesser injury, that's why she was also not at the show. um yeah, so that's another thing, going back to the previous point. But it's one of those things like I want to see how they both respond to it, because I know it's going to be more focused on Becky and Trish. So I wonder how Lita's response is going to get, like, kind of in more in the background when it comes to that. And
Hmm.
it's one of those things like I know Becky was influenced by both of them, and it's obviously the horsewomen, they talk about their dream matches, and those are two of the dream matches they always get. And I know Becky had her moment with Lita. I just didn't think that she was gonna get a moment with Trish as well. So it's something that I didn't expect to happen. I know I do applaud them for doing it though, and the aspect of like it happens more often with the guys than with the girls. Usually we get more like legends coming in, like male legends coming in and getting involved with the younger guys. We don't get the female ones very often, so it's nice to see them in that aspect, like getting experience from the legends, especially the female ones. So we don't get to visit that very often. But yeah, in and itself, I'm just more than anything looking forward to the promos, because I know like heel Trish and like a face Becky. I feel like Becky does a great promo either way, if whether she's a heel or a face. So I feel like that back and forth is what I'm excited for more than anything, because I know it's gonna be great. um I'm kind of nervous about Trish's aspect of match and how it will go once they face each other. I know Becky will do great, but I'm still like looking forward to see how it happens. Um, I feel like it's something that hasn't happened between them is very different. Um, so I'm like looking forward to it. But yeah, I feel like I'm like half and half when it comes to like what's happening, because I know it's that moment for Becky of like, hey, I'm facing one of the legends that influenced me. Like they even sorry, they put it in the video package for the entrance for WrestleMania, the way they both influenced her to what she is, not to her teaming up with them.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, I just like I feel like I want there's a lot of factors going into it, so that's what I'm excited for more than anything, to see how it plays out on like on TV. Um, like I can't wait to see how Becky responds to her going forward. It's like, yeah, you're the goat, and like she called them like the four horse faces, I think, or something like that, instead of horsewomen in the promo. And so I was like, it was kind of funny, but at the same time kind of cheesy, because I was like, that's all you can think about when it comes
Horse
to the girl.
faces?
Yeah, something like that. It was like what she called
That
them.
actually sounds insulting. Like,
Like,
wow, you're the four horse faces.
yeah.
What are you saying? No.
I know she was kind of just like insulting them in that way of being like, you guys get
Yeah.
all the credit for the women's revolution, but I'm the one that really started it. Which, on this, if you think about it from that aspect, they started even before Trish, so even she can't say that she can take the credit for that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I'm just looking forward to like that back and forth. I'm thinking this is probably gonna happen towards SummerSlam to make it like a big one of the big PLEs that he has,
That would
and
make
have that
sense. Yeah.
promotion go into it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just excited for that back and forth that they'll have eventually now when Becky comes back.
That being said, SummerSlam is what, 4 months away?
Maybe.
That's a long time to just be,
Hmm.
as it were, beaking back and forth. But then again, Trish and Lita probably are not regularly contracted workers. Are probably like working that Brock Lesnar kind of, summertime here, summertime there, summertime, catch you some of the time, contract there. So
Hmm.
yeah, we'll see if they play it right. Here's the thing: if Vince keeps his nasty old stinky dementia riddled perverted hands off of this ish, it will turn out great. If Triple H and whoever else is intelligent in creative is the one taking care of this, it has the potential to be phenomenal because no one can do a long storyline and prepare a long storyline as good as Triple H. Like,
Mhm.
he's legendary at that.
Yes.
But like, with Vince's involvement in the company, I know that he's not like, because he's not creative, right? He's considered like a CEO of something, right?
Well, at this point, it's like I feel like it's like half and half because he's not supposed to be involved, and they're supposedly he's gonna get kicked out of it soon. But who knows at this point where he's at
I
or
was
how
gonna
he's
say
involved.
everything. There's a few things that I've seen that I'm like, that smells Vincy. That smells like dementia and perversion. Get it out of there. Um, when and if they can break away from that, if he does not have his hands on this, as I said, it has potential to be very, very good, and I have hope that it can get better. It's a little bit of a rocky start, but there's always room for improvement. Hopefully, maybe Trish stays a little bit out of the ring for a little next little bit, repair that hamstring a little bit, and then my hope is that maybe she gets a little bit more of that ring rust off of there to really kind of start seeing and training with some of the more, I hate to say this word, the more modern girls, so
Mhm.
that she's kind of brought up to speed of what she is expected to perform at when she does get in the ring with Becky. Because again, like as I mentioned, the generational differences, the requirements and filler for the matches in Trisha's days versus now are very, 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 very different. Back in Trisha's days, she could get away with like, being crazy with the crowd and, oh yeah, like the over taunting, the
Mhm.
over selling to the crowd. There was far less physical interaction with the female wrestlers in a wrestling match in Trisha's days than there are now. I'd like to see Trish step up to that and kind of maybe surprise Becky a little bit with her ability to kind of keep up with her, but also still maintain those signature moves that we're used to seeing, the stratisfaction, the stratosphere, the chick kick, like that kind of stuff. I'd like to see it stay still in her repertoire, but I would like to see her evolve with the times because you can't step into the new hotness and expect to hang with it if you haven't
Mhm.
tested those waters. And based on what I saw from the start of this feud, the waters are shark infested and bit off her foot. Like, she did not fit in well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that guy.
Well, basically that was it for what we have for this week. Where can people find you, Mel? What do you
You
have
can
going
find
on?
Melball on Twitter at Collins Melball. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Mastodon at Melball Collins. You can also catch me usually every Monday and Wednesday, sometimes Fridays, on Andre Melball's Wrestling Talk when we release our Puresu review and our Stardom review. Usually once every 2 months or once every month, depending on when the shows are running. You can also catch Chop Talk, where we usually kind of review some of the new indie guys that are coming out through some of the local promotions like Love Pro Wrestling, Top Talent, RCW, and that's all in the Edmonton area, obviously. And that's where you can find me. Where can we find you, my friend?
You can find me on Tuesday doing Taking Over with Ed on our local establishments, and then Making an Impact with Cody on Thursdays on my channel since you're already here as it is. Um, One thing that I would say, definitely if you haven't yet, follow the Twitch channel. If you know anybody that would like to, just tell them to follow it. If you want to subscribe, that's something a little bit different. Hopefully soon I will be adding sound alerts and hopefully emotes for anybody that subscribes so I can add a little bit something different to the channel. Um, and if you haven't yet on the YouTube, you can subscribe. You can find our past episodes there of Lady Session Showcase, whether they were live or pre-recorded. Last time we had Lauren Goodnight with us here. She was super fun to have. So if you haven't seen that one, you can check it out on my YouTube channel and subscribe to it if you haven't yet. Most of you know we're gonna be have a replay in Backbreaker Media, and we appreciate what Mike is doing to helping us grow over there too with not only Lady Session Showcase but making an impact, and to also put it as a whole our local establishment as well. They have a lot of we have a lot of content there. I feel like if you don't want to talk about wrestling, there's other stuff going on too. So I would always say go to the channel, especially on YouTube, check it out, and then you'll find something you'll enjoy that you stick to that. And I know you'll find something for sure. We have from Pair Mindful, we have to Turnbuckle Talk, to Busting Out. So, like I said, are taking over to even now Killer Cats that Bobby and I have talking about horror movies. So there's a little bit of like different topics going around. So you'll find something that you'll enjoy, and then subscribe to the channel and actually click on the bell to get notified whenever there's an upload on their channel or mine, or whenever we go live. So that if you haven't yet, that's your best way to like see when we're live. Other than that, you can find me on my Twitter, Astrid Bizarro, like it's there. And my Instagram's AstroPazaro20. And on the weekends, I have my NXT review going on Women's Wrestling Talk. And before we go, I did want to, hopefully they're still live, like which I'm checking right now. I'm going to head over
Who are we
and
rating?
rating. If hopefully they're online, let's see. Yep, Women's Wrestling Talk. So I figured I will go
Yay!
over and pass on the love to them. But I want to thank everybody for stopping in here tonight. If anything, on Sunday we will upload the podcast version. So if you prefer watching it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and we'll have that available as well on Sunday. But we want to thank everybody for your support, and we'll see you next time.